शुरू थी।
बस कपड़े कर ले जब मशीन जो सारे वो सारा लाओ कल आ गया
शहबाज।
सात देर तो रात सबमिट करना तो था
तन्नो।
Present, sir.
रणवीर।
Sir, Shahbaz is present.
कितना होगा भैन जो
वीर शहबाज।
Excuse me, sir. He is also present.
Arkur Pal also present.
Sir, you haven't marked a present of Shahbaz.
शहबाज is there. I call Shahbaz, right?
Yeah, I said I am present.
Okay. So that time you didn't say I'm present. I asked why.
Arkur Pal also present, sir.
तन्नो।
Present, sir.
रणवीर।
Sir. Present, sir.
साहिल।
Sahil present, sir.
मोहित।
प्रेजेंट सर
तुषार।
Tushar present, sir.
नवनीत।
Present, sir.
नवजोत।
Present, sir.
Another नवजोत।
Present, sir.
कोमल।
Present, sir.
दिवजोत।
Present, sir.
कपिल।
प्रेजेंट सर
अवजोत।
Present, sir.
सर्वपुरी।
प्रेजेंट सर
मनवीर। नरेश।
Present, sir.
वंशिका।
Present, sir.
सुमन।
Present, sir.
सुप्रीत।
Present, sir.
सुखमनप्रीत।
Present, sir.
सिमरनजीत।
Present, sir.
रोबनप्रीत कौर।
Present, sir.
राजविंदर।
Present, sir.
पिंकली जोत।
Present.
परमिंदर।
Present, sir.
नेहा।
Present, sir.
मुस्कान।
Present, sir.
महकदीप।
Present, sir.
मनजोत कौर।
Present, sir.
मनजोत कौर।
Present, sir.
मनीषा। लवप्रीत सिंह।
Present, sir.
लवप्रीत कौर।
Present, sir.
कुलविंदर।
Present, sir.
करणबीर सिंह।
Present, sir.
जर्वनप्रीत।
Present, sir.
जर्वनप्रीत।
Present, sir.
लतनप्रीत कौर। जसपाल। हरमीत।
Present, sir.
गुरमनजोत सिंह।
Present, sir.
गुरलीन कौर।
Present, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
यस।
Arkur Pal present.
Who's another one?
Manisha is present, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Latanpreet, are you there? Gurinder Singh,
Present, sir.
Arshdeep,
Present, sir.
Arjun,
Present, sir.
Amanveer,
Present, sir.
Amandeep Kaur,
Present, sir.
Akash.
Present, sir.
Okay. Okay, we are going to start our session.
Sir,
Yes, who is this?
Jagdish Kaur is present. Actually, I don't know. My headphones are connected and I saying my name again and again.
Okay, I'll mark.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we are going to start. Let me mark Jatin present. Okay, I just want to tell you that some students still they are not following the instructions. Especially, I can say the server. So during the session, he turned off his video. I have seen Karan Beer, Karan Beer, Karan Beer Singh. He is not attending the class as well. Karan Beer, could you please acknowledge me? Karan Beer Singh, could you please talk with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is the reason behind? Why you are not following instructions?
Your voice is not audible to me.
What about others? Can you listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then why is not listening my voice? Okay, then currently I think today you're not blaming the quiz, right? If you are not listening to me, right? What I have to do it. So how you will follow my instructions? Sahil also, so one of the he is also not turning on the video. Just keep turn off the video. So I have the record of all the students for daily basis. I have a few students they are doing keep constantly. So make sure I should not issue the warning letter from the administration. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Call
sir.
कितने आ गए?
Yeah, those who are not answering, which are
Sorry,
not
sir. I will
following.
not do it again.
No, you do it. I didn't say. I just inform you to do today verbally. Tomorrow, if you will do, so you will get the administration will come and capture you. Don't worry.
Hi.
Yes, Manisha, everything is good. You're looking very happy. Today is a quiz. That's the reason. Okay. Okay, so we are going to start. So because the quiz we will do at the last, the session. So the last 20 minutes, because I told you the quiz is only 15 minutes, right? So I cannot just focus on the quiz. So let me finish the other commands as well. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Shabazz,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Shabazz, have you received my email? Shabazz, are you there?
Checked it. I'll check it now.
Okay. Okay, so now we are going to start.
Not only can you change the permissions associated with the user and group, you could change the user and group who owns that particular file. You would do this with the
Okay, is it audible for everyone? Please let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
chown
Yes,
command. To use chown, you would type in sudo chown and then the owner group that you'd like to associate to the particular file. For example, if you use sudo chown professor script.sh, it will change the ownership of this file for the user to be professor. On my computer, I have a third.txt file, and you can see the owner of the file is root, and the group associated with the file is staff. I'd like to change the ownership of the file to be my name, professor, instead of the user root. So I'll perform a sudo. I want to chown this to professor, and then the file name is third.txt. And now if I look at the file, you can see that the username associated with the ownership of this file is now set to professor. As a system administrator, there'll be times when you need to look at the network configuration of.
Okay, so now we are moving towards the networking section. So how we are going to write on all these commands and then how it will look like. Is that clear? So please pay attention here, and then you have to write on these commands.
Of a particular Linux system. If this Linux device has a wireless adapter card, you want to use the iwconfig command to view or modify any of the wireless configuration settings. This will show you SSID information, the channel that's in use, and other wireless settings as well. To be able to modify these, you would use the iwconfig command associated with the name of the particular wireless adapter, and then you can modify this, for example, change the SSID to studio-wireless. To view network information associated with a wired network interface, you want to use the ifconfig command. You would use ifconfig and the name of the adapter, and it will provide information about IP addressing, masking, and other details associated with IP on this interface. With some Linux distributions, the ifconfig command is not available by default. Those versions of Linux have migrated to the IP command. So to view information that's similar to the ifconfig command, you would use IP space address. If you do run into a Linux distribution that doesn't have the command that you're looking for, you might install that version of the program using the apt-get tool. This is the advanced packaging tool. This allows you to install and remove applications from your Linux distribution. To be able to install an application, you would sudo the command apt.get install and then the name of the application you'd like to install. The distribution of Ubuntu that I'm using doesn't have the ifconfig command as part of the distribution. But if I sudo apt.get and install nettools, I'll be able to install the package that includes.
Okay, so now the ifconfig command, it will tell you what is the IP address your machine has, right? If the ifconfig is not working, so what you have to do it? So you have to install this package. The package name is net-2. So this is a command. If this command is not working on your computer, so now you can see here sudo apt then -get install then nettools.
Includes the ifconfig command. Now, if I use ifconfig and hit enter, the command is now available and I can view the IP information associated with this computer. If you've ever used the Windows Task Manager, then you're probably familiar with the information you would get from the PS command inside of Linux. This will allow you to view all of the processes running on this Linux system and the process ID associated with those processes. To view the processes just for the current user who's logged in, you can simply use the PS command. But if you want to view all of the processes running on the computer, you can use PS-E. This will probably be pages of information, so you may want to pipe PS-E to the more command. If I just use PS, it will show me all the processes running for this single user on this Linux workstation, and you can see I'm at the bash shell, and I just ran the PS command. So it showed me the process of me running the actual command to view the process. To view all of the processes on this computer, I can use PS-E, and view all of the processes. But you can see this was many pages of information, which is why PS-E piped to more may give you a little more time to flip through all of the pages one at a time to see exactly what's going on. Linux uses many different configuration files to be able to change the configurations of certain applications. To be able to edit those files, you may want to use a full screen editor like VI. This is the visual mode editor that allows you to view a full screen editor with copy, paste, and many other capabilities. To start the editor, we would use the VI command and the name of the file. So to edit file script.sh, I would use VI script.sh. Once I'm inside the editor, I can insert text by pressing the I key and then typing the text. Once I'm finished with the insert process, you press escape to get out of insert mode. Once you've finished your editing and you would like to save the file and quit the VI editor, you would type a colon to go into command mode, type a W, which would write the information in this file or save the file, and a Q, which will quit the editor. On my computer, I have this file third.txt, and if we look at third.txt, you can see there is a lot of text in this file. To edit this file, I can type in VI third.txt, and now I'm in a full screen editor. And if I hit the I command, I can insert information into this file. We'll type in inserted text. To exit from this insert mode, I would hit the escape key. And now if I would like to write this file and quit the editor, I can press colon WQ. And now if I look at third.txt again, you can see that my inserted text has been saved in this text file. If you're a system administrator who is imaging partitions on a Linux device at the command.
Okay, so this was also revision. So regarding the VI editor. So now you can see here. So what about the DD? So that is a very important. So this command basically used for backup and restore the entire partitions. So now if you look at here, so when we are working in our computer, so we can see we have a very, maybe the 500 GB or maybe 1 terabyte in the hard disk. So this is why you have to have multiple partitions. If you have multiple partitions, in case of if your operating system having some issues, you can reinstall the operating system without losing the data. Okay, so now what you can do here, so one partition, maybe you have the important files, maybe in one partition you have only operating system. So in future, if there's some problem, so without any worry, you can reinstall the operating system. So now in this case, you can see here how we are going to convert and copy the files. So it means the backup and restore the entire partition. So what the entire partition we have it, we can take a backup. So how you can look at this one.
Line, you're probably going to use the DD command. This is a command that will convert and copy a file, but it's also used to back up and restore images for an entire partition. The DD command includes some parameters such as IF, which specifies a source file name, OF, which is the output file name, and then any options. For example, to create an image of a partition, you can use DD with IF specifying /dev/SDA as the name of that partition, and then OF to specify the location for the image file, which in this case would be /tmp/sda-image.img. To be able to restore that partition, we would simply reverse this information by specifying DD. The input is going to be the name of the image file, and the output is going to be the name of the partition, or /dev/SDA. As a system administrator, there will certainly be times when you need to terminate an application that's running on your Linux operating system. To be able to close the program, we would use the kill all command. For example, if you wanted to kill all instances of Firefox, you would use sudo kill all and Firefox. There's also a graphical version of this you can use called xkill, but if you're working at the command line, you may just want to use the kill command and the process ID associated with that process. I do have Firefox that's running here in the background, so if we use sudo kill all and Firefox and run that, you can see that it instantly kills all processes.
Okay, so sometimes you have to understand some the applications you have opened and some processes maybe giving that problem. So how you're going to stop? So this is the command, the kill command. It will help you to stop that, the process. So this is the one way. Another way you can see here, we can use the process ID. So to kill, to stop that process.
associated with Firefox.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, so mostly the commands we have seen in Linux, and then I also show this video, the Microsoft command line. So we already aware about that, we already working in the Microsoft, but how we can do all this command in Windows. So now you have a more clear picture. The some people they may be uninstalled, but if they are working in the Windows, how they are going to create the directories, I think. So you can compare, so you can practice. Okay. So now I'm going to show you that video, then you will continue.
Command line is the only option available to you. So in this video, we'll look at some of the most popular Microsoft command line tools. As you're probably aware, the Windows operating system has two separate privileges, one for the user and one for the administrator. For most of what you do, you'll be using standard privileges, but there are certain applications and certain functions in the operating system that need elevated permissions. And in those cases, you'll want to run as an administrator. To be able to run the command prompt as an administrator, you'll first need to be a member of the administrators group, and then you'll need to right-click the command prompt and choose Run as Administrator. There's also a shortcut you can use, which is to type the CMD command and then choose Control-Shift-Enter to run that command as an administrator. Here's a command prompt that I'm running in Windows 10 that I'm running with administrator permissions, and you can see that it says Administrator Command Prompt at the top of.
You have to understand. So you have to compare. When you're going to compare, then you have a more understanding. So over there, we are going to use sudo, right? So for the administrator. So now here is you can click on the CMD and run as the administrator, and then you can see here. So on the top you will see here administrative command prompt. So some commands give you the error. So if you are logged in as the administrator, then it will execute. So try to understand. Okay. So we will continue.
The screen. To be able to do this, I started down at the bottom. I type CMD, that would be for the command prompt. Windows 10 does show me the command prompt is here, but instead of left clicking the command prompt, I'm going to right mouse click and choose Run as Administrator. And when I do that, Windows will ask me if I would like to allow this app, which in this case would be the command prompt, to make changes to your device. This is your warning that you're going to be performing functions of this command prompt that could make drastic changes to the operating system. So we're going to choose yes, and our command prompt will open in a separate window. And now we can begin using that command prompt with elevated privileges. The command prompt is a daunting environment to work in. There's no graphical interface, and it's difficult to memorize all of the different options that might be available for a particular command. For that reason, the operating system includes a help command. So if you'd like help on the directory command, you can type help dir, or if you need help on the copy command, you can type help copy, and you'll get all of this information about how to run that particular command. Another shortcut to using this help is to type in the name of the command and then use /?, which will bring up the same screen as typing help in the name of the command. Once you're finished using the command prompt, if you'd like to close out the command prompt window, you simply type exit and press enter. These help commands are useful when you're working at the command prompt and you need a little bit more information. Some of this information may or may not be available on your exam, so it's important to memorize as much of this as possible. Let's look at all of the different options available for the copy command. I'll type help and copy, and we'll see all of the syntax and all of the options available when using copy. Now let's get the same information by using the /?. I'll type CLS to clear the screen, and then we'll type the copy command with a space and a /?, to view exactly the same help information. When you're working at the command prompt, you may want to list out all of the files that happen to be in your current directory, and you can do that by typing the dir command. You can also move between directories by using the cd command for change working directory. You can combine this with the / to specify a volume or a series of subdirectories that you'd like to move to. And if you're currently in a working directory and you would like to move or reference a directory just above that, you can use the 2 dots or 2 periods to specify that you'd like to use the folder above the current working folder. Let's use the dir command to list out some files that happen to be in this directory. I'm currently in the working directory of C:\users\professor. This means that I am in the C: drive. The drive letter is C. And then the folder that I'm in is in the users folder. And within the users folder, I'm within the professor folder. Let's use the dir command, and we can list out all of the different directories that are located in this professor folder. You can see that one of these is the documents folder. So now let's use the cd command to change directory to the documents folder. And when I hit enter, you'll see that my working directory is changed to users, professor, documents. And if I perform the dir command, I'll list out all of the directories and files that'll be located within that document subfolder. If I would like to change directory back to that previous directory that's just above this current working directory, I can use the cd command again, and of course I could type in \users\professor, or I could use the shortcut of typing cd space ... to specify the previous directory, and you can see that the working directory has changed to users professor.
Okay, so you have seen here in Linux, we are going to use the ls command for directories. Here we are going to use dir. And the cd command is also the same like, in Linux. Is there any question at this stage? Please let me know.
No, sir.
Okay.
Most of the time when we want to shut down our computer, we can choose the shutdown option on our desktop, or we can reach down and press the power button. But very often
Yes, I. What's your question?
Sir, can I
join again from the another device. The audio is not audible here.
Okay, no issue.
Thank you, sir.
You'll be working on a computer that's located in a different room, a different building, or a different city or state where you may be located. In those cases, you may want to shut down or reboot the computer from the command line using the shutdown command. The shutdown command has a number of different options you should know about. We'll be using shutdown as the command. We can use the /s option after typing in shutdown to specify that we're going to completely shut down this computer once the timer has completed. And then we will use the /t to specify this timer where it will wait a certain number of seconds before it shuts down. So if we'd like it to shut down in 60 seconds, we would use the shutdown command with a /s, a /t, and then 60. If we want the computer to reboot after shutting down, then we want to use the /r command instead of using the /s, and we would still have the /t command that will be our countdown timer until the system does restart. There may be times while this timer is counting down when you realize you don't want to restart or you don't want to shut down right now, and you can abort this entire sequence by using the shutdown /a command. Let's use the shutdown command to shut down our local computer that's sitting in front of us. We'll use shutdown. I'm going to use the /r command to restart the computer, and then I'll specify a time of 120 seconds. And when I press enter, anybody who's connected to this machine will get a message on the screen that says, "You're about to be signed out. Windows will shut down in 2 minutes," and it says when the shutdown will start. To be able to abort this shutdown, we would use the same command, shutdown, but with the /a, and Windows will prompt us and say the log off is canceled. The scheduled shutdown has been canceled because we use the A to abort.
Okay, so this command, if mostly in the organization, so don't give the the GUI graphical. So you have to work on CLI. So now how to shut down this machine? So you have to understand shutdown command, then /r. I'm going to restart, or maybe S. S you can also use for shutdown. So, but this command used for restart the computer. /t. So how much the interval? So you have a 2 minutes. So you can save all your data, whatever. If you want to cancel this process, then you can write on the command shutdown /a. So abort. Is there any question at this stage? Please let me know.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Shutdown sequence. Another command line you may come across is DISM. This stands for the Deployment Image Servicing and Management Tool. There's a standard Windows imaging format called a WIM. It stands for the Windows Imaging Format. And the DISM command allows you to make changes, view the files, and perform other functions associated with these WIM images. If you need to install new applications to an image, you need to install new drivers or change any of the updates inside of that image, you would use this DISM command. To be able to view the whole scope of the DISM command, I'm going to type DISM with no other parameters and press enter. And pages of information will go by. I'm going to scroll back up until we get all the way back to the top of DISM. You can see all of the options, what the description of this command is, all of the generic imaging commands, the WIM commands, and there are pages of those, the FFU commands, the image specifications, the DISM options, and some examples at the bottom. Let's perform one of these DISM commands to look at the specifications of an existing Windows image file. Let's use the DISM command. I'm going to use a /get WIM info, and then I'm going to use the /WIM file :d:/sources /.
Okay, I'm going to skip a little bit difficult. So so we will check this one. System file checker.
One way that you could scan all of the core operating system files be damaged or corrupted. Maybe malware had previously infected the system, or maybe a Windows update didn't complete properly. One way that you could scan all of the core operating system files is to use the SFC command. That stands for System File Checker, and SFC will scan through all of those important files, locate any that may be damaged, and repair any of those damaged files. Let's look at all the different options for the SFC command. You can see that you have an option to scan now, to only verify the files but don't repair the files. We can scan individual files and verify individual files, or we can do offline repairs as well. One of the common commands you would use would be the SFC with the scan now. Let's try that, SFC/scan now, and we'll press enter, and now the SFC command processes the scan, looks through all of your operating system, and locates any files that may be corrupted. If it does run into a problem, it will repair it with this scan now command. As you can see, this takes quite a bit of time to go through all of those operating system files. But once this scan is complete,
Okay, sometimes you had a situation so where some files are corrupted and maybe your system is not working fine. So then we have to use this command, SFC. So we are going to scan the whole system, okay? And then we want to fix the bugs or any problem on your machine. Is there any question at this stage? Please let me know. Hello.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Actually, I do have a question, sir.
sir, I also have a question.
It's not working.
Sir,
So does the scan now?
One by one, one by one.
Sorry, remember you go on.
Does the scan now command fix the problems or just shows them? Like, is there another?
Yeah, no, the fix the issue. It will fix the issue.
Okay,
If you
sir.
have any the malware attacks, sometime it will, corrupt the files, right? And then your system
Okay,
is
sir.
not working fine. Yes, who's the second one?
The same question. I just want to ask that only.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so make sure talk one by one so I can answer. Okay, so I'm going to continue. So because you are every day you are having the issues, right? So make sure you can practice as well. You should know the commands, right? Every day you had this kind of problem.
you have a good working operating system. As the name implies, the check disk command will check your disk for errors. One of the type of checks that it performs is a logical file system check. You can perform that check by using checkdisk/f. The other type of check it can do is much more comprehensive. It will not only check for logical file system errors, but it will try to find any bad sectors that may exist on your storage drive. And if it finds a bad sector, it will try to recover the data in that bad sector and write it to a known good sector. If you run the checkdisk/r, it will first perform the logical file system check, and then it will perform the much more intensive sector by sector check of your drive. Check disk needs to have complete control of the drive to perform these checks. So if you're using an operating system on a drive and you're trying to run a check disk on that same drive, you'll get a message on your screen that says, check disk can't run because the volume is in use by another process. Would you like to schedule this volume to be checked the next time the system restarts? And you can choose yes or no. If you choose yes, the volume will be checked the next time you restart this computer. When you start back up, you'll get a message on your screen that says that Windows is scanning and repairing the drive and will tell you how complete it is during that process. There's many programs available in the graphical front end of the Windows operating system.
So you have seen in the previous one, so it will locate the bad sectors and it can fix the issue. Now the disk partition. So many people, they already aware how they can do the disk partition through the graphical user interface, right? So now you can see here how we can do it through the command line CLI. So I have already mentioned to you that we have a two ways, GUI, graphical user interface, but the people who are working in the organization, so most of the time they like to use the CLI. The reason the CLI is much more faster as compared to the GUI mode. Is that clear? Do you understand the point? Why we are going to learn the CLI?
Yes, sir.
Connect.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now here you have to write down this partition, so you can see here how many volumes we have it. So we will continue.
That allows you to manage the partitions on your storage drives. But if you're working at the command line, you still need to have this functionality, even though the graphical utility isn't available. From the command line, the utility you want to use is diskpart. This will open up a number of different options available for managing your storage devices. To start diskpart, we'll type diskpart at the prompt, and we'll get a diskpart prompt. There are many different options available in diskpart. If we type help, you can get a summary of those options. If you want to create a volume partition or virtual disk, you can use the create command. If you want to format a partition, you can use the format command. If we want to list the different objects that are available on this particular drive, we can type list, and if we don't put any options down, you'll see the different options available. For example, if you want to type list volume, you'll see all of the different Windows volumes available on this particular computer. Once you're done with diskpart, you want to exit back to the operating system. You simply type exit and press enter. You may be accustomed to using Task Manager inside of the Windows graphical desktop to be able to manage tasks, but you can also manage tasks by using the task list and the task kill command. The task list command will show you the currently running processes, and you can either choose to look at those processes on your local computer, or you can specify the processes on a remote computer. You can then use the task kill command to terminate tasks, and you can either use the name of the executable or the process ID or PID to be able to specify exactly which process you'd like to terminate. To terminate a process using its executable name, we would use task kill with the /im and then the name of the executable. Or if you'd like to use the process ID, use task kill /PID, the process ID number, and then /T. On my computer, I'm still running the command prompt that's running with the elevated administrator access. And you can see on the left side of the screen is an instance of Notepad. If I type in task list, we can see all of the different processes running on this computer, including down here at the bottom an instance of notepad.exe. I could choose the option to remove all of the tasks associated with that executable, but there might be other notepads running on this computer at the same time. What I'd like to do is specify this specific process, and I know that the process ID is going to be 3192 for this notepad.exe. So let's run task kill. I'm going to specify the PID of 3192 and then specify /T to terminate that process. And when I press enter, you'll see that notepad.exe is now terminated. If you're the system administrator of...
Okay, so here are some more commands about what you call it. We have seen in the Linux as well. So how we are going to kill the task. So group policy is basically the more advanced commands. So I'm going to skip and I will show you some of the commands. The format command. Okay, so the format command. So mostly we have used how to format the data. So now we are going to see how we can use.
Command line utility is the format command. This is the command you'll use to write a file system to a partition. This is a very useful command when you're initializing a disk, but you should also be aware that this command will delete anything on that disk. So be very careful when using the format command that you don't delete or format over the wrong partition. On my computer, I plugged in a new USB drive that's drive E. If I do a directory of drive E, you'll see that it does not contain a recognized file system. So I'll use the format command. I'll specify E:, and I'll press enter. It asks me to insert a new disk for drive E, which is already there, and press enter when ready. It's now going to perform a format with all of the default options, which will write a FAT32 partition to this USB drive. The copy command is used to copy a file or a series of files from one directory to another. This can be on the same storage device, or you can copy to a different storage device. There are a number of different options available for the copy command. Today we're going to look at two of them. One is the /v option and the other is the /y option. /v, when you include that on the copy command, will verify that the files that you've copied were copied correctly. This is something that's useful to do, especially if you're copying to an external storage device or a device that you want to make sure is getting a good copy of that file. The other option is /y. This will suppress any options that may come up to overwrite what may already exist on a destination file. In the example that we're about to do, I'll copy a file and then I'll try to copy the file again, and you'll see the copy command will prompt us if we really want to overwrite that file. I can force that to be overwritten by using that /y option. For this copy command, I want to copy a single file that I have, which is p3k447-report.log. And I want to copy this to my E drive, which is my USB drive. Because I'm copying this important file, I want to be sure to use the V command to verify that the file was copied properly to that USB drive. So I'll start with the copy command with the /v, and then I'll specify the name of the file that I would like to copy, which is p3k447report.log. Then I'll specify the destination for this copy command, which would be my E drive, and I'll press enter. And you can see that one file was copied. Since we used the /v, we know that not only was the file copied, but it was verified once the file was copied to that E drive. If I use the up arrow and I perform this exact same copy command again, you'll see that the copy command recognizes that this file already exists on that destination drive, and it says, do I want to overwrite that particular file? And you can choose yes, no, or to overwrite all of the remaining files in this copy command. For this option, I'm going to choose yes to overwrite that file, and the exact same copy takes place. There may be times when you want to automate these files to be copied, so you may want to bypass that prompt that comes up. So I'll choose the copy command with the /v, and I'll include the /y, which tells the copy command, if you're ever prompted with a conflict, go ahead and choose the yes command to overwrite.
Okay, so here is, we have the, the different, the ways how we can do the copy. So this is similar like, the Linux. Yes, anything else you want to discuss with me? Please let me know.
Write that file. Then I'll choose exactly the same options as I had before, the p3k-447-report.log/e:, and now when I press enter, I'm not prompted at all. It simply overwrites the file during the copy process. If I look at my E drive now, you can see that it contains that report file. If you want to copy multiple files and multiple directories at the single time, you may want to use the xcopy command. This is designed to look at an entire subdirectory of files and folders and copy all of them with one single command line. Let's run the xcopy command with a /?, and you'll see that all of these different options are available for the xcopy command. The one that we're going to use is the /s option, which copies a directory and subdirectory except any that may be empty. Let's clear the screen, and we'll use the xcopy command. I'll choose /s to copy the subdirectories. I'll choose that I want to copy my documents folder, and this documents folder has a number of different subdirectories within it. And then I want to choose to copy that to my E:/USB drive under a folder that already exists called backups. And when I press enter, the xcopy command will find every file that happens to exist under that documents directory and copy them all to my E drive. If you're looking for a better version of xcopy, you
okay, so I'm going to stop here. So all these commands we have seen, the similar, the stuff we have seen in the Linux as well. So because you are using the most of the time the Windows, so you should aware about that, how you can do it in Windows as well. Okay, is that clear?
Yes,
Would you
sir.
please acknowledge me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
might give us an idea that there could be a break in CMD and hit enter to get this command line screen. From here, we can type ipconfig, and that will show us that this is an.
Okay, so we have seen that this command in Linux as well. So that if you have to compare, so over there we have written if. So, but in Windows, we are going to write down the ipconfig. If someone will ask you what is the IP address, so how you are going to check? So you have to go to the command line, and then you have to verify what is your IP address. So what is the command? ipconfig. Could you please go and write down this command on your system and see what is the IP address? You have it. Yes, hurry up, guys. Can you listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Progress.
Okay, I'm going to continue.
Ethernet adapter. Here's the connection specific DNS suffix, which is the fully qualified domain name of this device, the IP address of this particular device, which is 10.1.10.36. We have a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, and we have a default gateway of 10.1.10.1. This is a good start for gathering network information about this computer, but we can get more details if we type ipconfig /all. This will show us everything we.
Okay, so here is the more detailed information. So it will tell you the more information. So you can see here ipconfig, then /all.
We just saw, along with other details such as the DNS servers that are configured for this device, the DHCP server that assigned the IP address to this computer, and other information about the network configuration as well. You'll often be tasked with determining if a device that's somewhere else on the network is up and working. And one way that you could tell if a device might be responding to you is by sending it a ping. This is the ping command, and it's designed to determine if a device is indeed operating on the other side of the network and is able to send you a response. It can also give you information about round trip time and other details as well. The ping command relies on a protocol called ICMP. This stands for Internet Control Message Protocol, and you'll find ICMP is a protocol used often for performing some of these network administration and network troubleshooting functions. This will be probably one of the primary tools you use because it's so easy to send that ping across the network, get a response back, and see if that device is indeed operating properly. The ping utility was written by Mike Moose in 1983, and he named it ping so that it would be similar to the sound of sonar when it finds another device. Sometimes you'll see the term ping described as an acronym of Packet Internet Grouper. This is in fact someone who created an acronym after the ping utility.
Okay, so in the networking, so when you cannot access one device, so what we have to do? We have to check, can we reach that device, yes or no? So that time we are going to use the ping command.
And we'll determine what our default gateway is. And our default gateway on this subnet is 10.1. Specify the number of pings that you would like to send, or you can tell Windows to keep. It performs 4 pings before it is on the network and replying back with information. I'll immediately see is 10.1.10.1. So if I perform a ping command to 10.1.10.1, I'll immediately see replies coming back from that device saying that it is on the network and replying back with information. Let's look at these ping results. You can see there were 4 replies that came back. And in Windows, when you perform a ping, it performs 4 pings before it stops. You can specify the number of pings that you would like to send, or you can tell Windows to keep pinging until you hit the Control-C option.
So you have seen, so the ping command, basically we want to check the connectivity. So the ping is working or no. Is there any question?
No, sir.
This gave us 4 replies from 10.1.10.1. The amount of data in that reply was 32 bytes. It took 1 milliseconds to get that reply back from 10.1.10.1, and the time to live is 64. We'll talk about time to live in a moment as it's associated with traceroute, but time to live is a marking that shows us how many routers are on the network between one point and another. The breakdown of these 4 ping replies shows that there were 4 packets sent, 4 packets received, which means we had a 0% loss of ping information on this network. The approximate round trip time in milliseconds on my local network here is a very boring 1 millisecond as a minimum, 1 millisecond as a maximum, which means our average was 1 millisecond. Let's try to take these values and add some additional distance between our devices. Let's ping a device that is on the internet that has to go through a number of hops. So let's try the ping command again, and I will ping Quad 9, which is a DNS provider that has a DNS server at 9.9.9.9. And I'll hit enter, and you can see now we're getting different numbers back. Our round trip times are larger because we are going out over the internet. The time to live is different because the time to live value is determined by the station that's on the other end, and it has a different operating system and uses a different set of time to live values. We can suspect that it started at 64, which means there were a number of different hops, about 8 different hops between our station and that 9.9.9.9 device. We sent 4 packets. We received 4 packets. We didn't lose any packets along the way. The minimum round trip time was 27 milliseconds. The maximum was 29, and the average was about 27 milliseconds to send that traffic across the network. Now let's see what happens if we try to ping a device that is not on the network. We'll use the same ping command, and we'll go to Quad 9, except we'll ping 9.9.9.8, and we'll hit enter. And you'll see there is delays while we're waiting for the response to come back. The first response says the request timed out. We'll get a second response that says the request timed out, and we'll ultimately get all 4 of these attempts timed out, and we'll get information that shows us that we sent 4 packets to that device. We received 0, and therefore there was a 100% loss. We can assume that 9.9.9.8 is an IP address that is not available on that network. Our ping command showed us that there are devices available out on the network. We're not exactly sure the route that it takes to get to that device and back, but we know there were a number of hops to be able to reach 9.9.
Okay, so the tracer command basically tell you the how many hops, so how many the destination away from you, so it will tell you the how many the routers. So these are different, the networking commands. So as a network student, you have to aware about that. Okay, I'm going to stop here, and please practice this one, these commands. So now you have another 20 minutes. I will start my quiz at 11:20. Thank you.